Hey, what's up everyone? In this video I'm going to be giving you a helping hand on how to choose your next pair of running shoes and helping you out with some of those terms that we use on YouTube about midsoles and compounds and all that sort of stuff. So let's get stuck in. Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to FORDY RUNS. Now this week we're going to be talking about how to choose your next pair of running shoes. Now there's so many different running shoes out there. Do I go for a daily trainer, a tempo shoe? What's a midsole? What's an outsole? What's a carbon plate? What's a stack high? Do I need this for a trail? Do I need that for a road run? What should I be wearing at park run? Well, all these million different questions out there. And so hopefully in this video I'm going to help with some of those questions that you've been asking. Right guys, so the number one thing you need to do before anything else, right, is after this video, go and get your gait analysed. Now, what is a gait analysis? Well, basically, a dude puts you on a treadmill, they video you, and then they look at how you run and whether you're pronating, not pronating, whether you're neutral, whether you've got movement here, movement there, and all that sort of stuff. Ideally, right, you want to go and see a professional. Now, whether that be a physio or someone, but someone who's not actually selling running shoes. I know ASICS, for example, do it in London, and they're not there to sell shoes. They're actually professionals who are going through it on the treadmill and talking you through all the different mechanics of your gait. And that's the sort of place that you want to go to, somewhere where they're not actually trying to sell you some shoes, because I've heard it before from some of my runners where they've gone along to a place and they've been putting the wrong shoe purely because that's on sale. So just be aware of that. But I think there's some amazing places out there, local running stores. I know there's some around here where they do a great job where you can get your gait analysed, but it really is so important to get your gait analysed when choosing a new running shoe. So there's some major things to consider when choosing your next running shoe. Firstly, what surface are you running on? What distance are you running? Have you got a race planned? Are you entering a training block? Those sort of things. They're the sort of key questions you want to be asking yourself. Obviously, you've had your gait analysed and you know whether you're a pronator, under pronator, or a neutral running shoe, a neutral runner, sorry, and those sort of things you know already. But also the next stage is then to start thinking, okay, what distance am I going to be running on? What surface am I going to be running on? What sort of miles am I going to be running in those shoes? And that sort of thing. That's the next key thing to think about. Okay, so let's quickly touch on what that means about pronation and all that sort of stuff. So basically, you've got two-ish sorts of shoes. You've got sort of, actually no, maybe three, but you've got like a neutral running shoe, which basically means that you run pretty much, let's get a shoe, that's the worst shoe. I was going to pick the Nike Vaporfly, which is one of the most unstable. But you're running through and you're coming through and you're neutral, right? You're flat, you're not doing any of this sort of stuff. If you've seen some of my videos, I tend to roll onto the inside, which is a pronation, and what that does, that can sort of then put a stress on the ankle, stress on the shin, and causes problems further up. So that's where you then need a stability shoe, which I probably should have grabbed before we did this video, but basically the stability shoes tend to have a little bit more on the inside, and they sort of steady the ship up. So you've got then mild stability shoes like the New Balance Prism, which has in that shoe a medial post in here, which has got a slightly firmer bit of foam, again to sort of steady the ship a bit. So there's a sort of three different shoes that you've got. You've got neutral, stability, and mild stability. Right, so let's get some of the jargon sorted as well. So we've got uppers to start with. So this has got vapor, this has got fly in it. You'll hear engineered mesh upper and that sort of stuff. Then you'll hear stuff like overlays and things like that. It's basically where they're sticking stuff on the upper. Sometimes that's to add stability in certain places. Sometimes it's to add sort of, to stop it wearing in certain places, that sort of thing. So that's the upper. You've then got the midsole. So that's the material that sits underneath your foot. So that's where your sort of cushioning comes from, maybe somewhere where your propulsion comes from. Carbon plates. Let me show you the Alpha Fly, because you can see the carbon plate, and we'll come on to this, but there's a carbon plate in there. So if you're worrying about what carbon plates are, a lot of the new hyper shoes stick a carbon plate in there. The idea is to give you some snap, some more propulsion, and we'll come on to how they feel and things like that in a minute. But basically, a lot of the hyper shoes are sticking carbon plates in there. Other shoes like the Speed have a nylon TPU material plate, so it's still got a plate in it, but it's not carbon, so it's not as rigid, but that's got a plate in it. So some other shoes still have plates in them, but they're not carbon plates. Some of the carbon plates are full length, like on that. So we've gone on to carbon plates by accident. Some of them here are front loaded, So they're from the toe to the front, and this is bottom loaded actually, so it's under here. So this is wedged, the carbon plate is wedged between the Zoom X. Here it's actually just above the outsole, and we'll come on to that in a minute. But so different types of plates as well. I didn't think I was going to get onto carbon plates, but we might as well talk about them while we're here. So yeah, then you've got the outsole. The outsole is the bit on the outsole, but basically it's the sole of the shoe. Now again, you'll have different materials on the outsole, whether it's like blown rubber or different rubber materials, crystal rubber, and so this has got different. You've got exposed midsole here on the outsole, and then here you've just got little bits of rubber added here as well, all about adding traction in the right places. What's the speed got? Yeah, again, so it's got little bits of rubber on the outsole to maintain, but they've shaved weight. This is where a lot of the time the shoes, they shave the weight because they get rid of some of this rubber on the outsole, because that weighs quite a lot. If you think you've got a big slab of rubber on there, it can weigh quite a lot, which is why you see some of the exposed outsole. So that's the outsole. What else do we need to talk about? Gusseted tongues are basically connected up on the inside. Does it have a removable insole is another one that people ask about. Lacing, well, lacing's lacing, isn't it? Yeah, there's some different variations, like this one goes across. This is just a standard lacing, but that's some of the stuff that we talk about, some of the stuff to be aware of. The heel counters, let's use this shoe. So we've got heel counters now. Usually that's a piece of an overlay or a material added to the heel, where it basically adds stability in the heel. You'll see that best example, and I wish I'd grabbed them, is on the Hoka Carbon X SPE. They've changed it. Last year they had sort of stitching and stuff into the heel, but this year they've actually put an overlay over the top, like a rigid bit of plastic, which adds stability in the heel. So the idea is, again, it's all about adding stability and keeping that motion through. A rocker, oh look at me, look, you can see that, I'm holding 3 shoes. Rocker, good example with the speed actually, because this has got speed roll technology. But basically a rocker is where the shoe is promoting a heel to toe transition. So it's getting that roll through the shoe. So that's what a rocker is. Hoka's a brilliant example of that. So when we talk about a rocker on a shoe, it's promoting that heel to toe transition at speed. And that's what a rocker is. I think that's it. So that's the sort of jargon. Oh, stack heights. Let's get the stack heights. Stack heights we're talking about. So the heel and the toe, how much foam is in there, and then that gives you the offset or the drop. So roughly, on most of the time I'm looking for a drop between 10 and 8 mil. Why is that? Because I strike about here on the foot. The sort of lesser heel to toe drop promotes more of a, or is meant to get you more onto your toes. Prefer a forward strike versus a higher number, which promotes is there to help with more of a heel strike. So like a 12 mil drop, and a Brooks Ghost 13 is like a 12 mil drop, which is quite high. That's really trying to get you, trying to look after the people who are hitting it down here, or where a lower heel drop or offset is more promoting that sort of, what's the best way to describe it? Yeah, a forward mid to toe strike, I would say. Probably got that wrong, let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's basically it, without me sort of copying any notes and reading anything. That's roughly what it is. But I say I prefer an 8 to 10 mil drop. Okay, so the next thing you're gonna have to deal with is what sort of shoe are you after? Now, where do we go? So you basically got daily training shoes, speed tempo shoes, and you've got your sort of racing shoes. Within that, oh, you've got trail shoes, put that to one side. Within that, you've then probably got like long run shoes, you've got maybe max cushion shoes, zero drop shoes. So there's a few other sort of things in there to sort of make it even more complicated. But let's try and uncomplicate things. So daily training shoes, which is the most versatile shoe. Now, what I like in a daily training shoe, now this doesn't necessarily have to be what you look for, but a daily training shoe to me has to be versatile in terms of it has to have a decent amount of grip on the outsole, because I want to be able to run it down the toe pass on the roads and maybe on the grass, different terrains. I want something that's got a reasonable amount of cushioning. So whether it be what's a good example, a React foam or a Power Run foam, you know, the midsole, what we spoke about earlier. I want, by the way, outsole, just remember, I want the upper to be super breathable. I want something that's gonna, you know, my feet aren't gonna get too hot in. Obviously in the winter, autumn season, it doesn't matter as much, but I really want something that is nice and breathable. I want something that's got a little bit of foam in the tongue. I don't want something minimalistic. I want some cushioning around the heel area. That's really important. You know, the Saucony Speed is a good example of that around there. In the heel area, these are brand new. These ones, I'm not running these yet, but if you look, it's got plenty of cushioning in the heel area, and this is more of a sort of training shoe for different distances. We'll go into that in a second. So I'm looking for that as well. Weight wise, I'm looking for something around 10 ounces or lower, just to give you an idea. Price wise, I'm not looking to pay over £100 for a daily trainer as well. So they're the sort of things that I look for in a daily trainer. Then you've got your speed shoes, your tempo shoes. Now these are the shoes that you would wear for those speed sessions, for those maybe those faster park runs, and that sort of stuff, which is where, you know, that's not a good example. Let's use, no, I'll tell you what we do. Yeah, where is it? We'll use this, the old 4%. So this shoe is lightweight, so it's lighter than your daily trainer. It's more breathable than your daily trainer. It's more minimalistic than your daily trainer. It's got a little bit of cushion there, but not too much. The tongue will probably have less foam in it, but it's all about lightness. Look at the outsole, it's got less rubber on it, less traction on it, and it's all about getting that sort of speed and lightness and everything from the shoe. This has got a carbon plate in it. You don't necessarily have to have a carbon plate for your speed tempo shoes, but obviously it does help. Have a look at the midsole material. Is it like a Zoom X like you get on the Nike, or a Power Run, you know, Plus, or what else is a DNA Flash from Brooks, something like that, which has got some speed within that midsole that's going to help you kick on. But yeah, that's the sort of thing I would look for from a speedier shoe. You probably will pay more money. These shoes tend to go up in price. You can get some real bargains out there, but I think you can still get some really good shoes for around the sort of 120, 150 pound mark to get those sort of speedier shoes. But if you're looking to get, you know, serious and you want to be doing some speed work and you want to be doing some tempo runs and all that sort of stuff, maybe look to get something along those lines. Then we've got trail shoes. Trail shoes, I love my Pegasus Trail 2, my Brooks Catamount. They for me are a shoe that can do sort of road to trail. I run to the trails and then run back, so I need a sort of hybrid shoe. I'm not the best person to comment on trail shoes, but just for me, I like something that's a little bit softer, a little bit more comfortable. I'm not one for more of these traditional trail shoes. But yeah, with a trail shoe, I think it really comes down to personal choice. I don't think I'm the best person to give you too much advice on them. Long run shoes. Now, glide ride, yep, I got it in the video. A long run shoe, if you're doing a marathon, and we spoke about this at the start, what's your distance, what you're training for. If you're doing a marathon or half marathon, you need a shoe in your rotation that's going to be able to soak up miles. And that's where we come into sort of the max cushion shoes, your long run shoes. So examples, Asics Glide Ride, Brooks Glycerine, Saucony Shift, Endorphin Shift, and those sort of shoes that are Hoka Clifton 7. They're the sort of shoes that are built to soak up those longer runs and those longer miles, because in that training block you're going to have to go out there and run for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever you're doing. You want something that's going to help you make the job easier and go nice and gentle on your feet. And there's some amazing shoes out there, but again, for that sort of remit, I would be looking to spend between 100 and 150 pounds. I would be looking for something that's got a decent amount of stack on it. I would be looking for something that's got a compound in the midsole that's softish, that will aid with maybe, like I say, the Glide Ride's got a great rocker that goes through it. So, and this has got a speed roll in it that's moving me from heel to toe transition, nice and helpful. That's such bad English, but it's helping me out along the way. I'd be looking for a breathable upper. That's not going to get too hot, because obviously over a longer distance your feet are going to get hot. I want a fair amount of cushioning around the heel area. I would like a heel counter if possible, again, because when I get tired I pronate, so to help me out along the way. A good outsole is really important on those longer runs, in particular if you're running longer distances. Your terrain may change while you're out there, so the Glide Ride, the Shift and those sort of shoes, they have a much better outsole than some of the racier shoes out there, which would be useless over a longer mile if it wasn't a race. So again, they're the sort of things to think about. In terms of weight, I'm still looking max 10 ounces. You You know, again, the Hoka shoes are great because they're lighter. Asics is a little bit heavier, but the Shift again is a little bit heavier. But again, 10 ounces or less is what you're really looking for, because again, you're going to be out in those shoes for a long period of time. You don't want anything too heavy on your feet. Right, and then lastly, we've got our racing shoes. Now, this is the Vaporfly, which you may have seen all the elites running in. Now, these shoes are built for race day for the elites. Now, some of these shoes don't suit everybody. They're set up, you've got to remember these shoes are set up for elite runners, okay? So like the Fuel Cell RC doesn't suit me. You've got max cushioned sort of marathon shoes like the Alpha Fly, which has got a massive stack height on it, which again, if you're not running on that, you know, true to form, it's going to be really unstable. So just bear that in mind. But, you know, you want a shoe that is going to give you the most confidence on race day. Now, price-wise, it can be up to you. I mean, I'm not going to give you a price on what you should be spending on your A race shoe, because that's down to personal choice. I think you can get some real bargains out there. But, you know, it's the shoe that you should be spending probably your most money on, because it's a shoe you're going to wear on race day. And don't get me wrong, people, I'm just going to backtrack 1,000,000% here. If you can only afford one pair of shoes, go for the Daily Trainer, right? The Daily Trainer should be able to do daily stuff, speed stuff, trails, and race day, okay? So just put that out there. But if you're going to go down the lines that I go down and you want a race shoe, then you're going to be looking for ultimate lightness, ultimate breathability, ultimate energy return from that midsole, probably some form of plate in it, whether it be carbon or TPU, whatever you've got. But some form of maybe, you know, heel to toe transition that's going to help you out, whether it be speed roll, whether it be a massive slab of Zoom X that's going to get you onto that plate or whatever. But you want in your race shoe something that's going to make you feel like a hero, something that's going to make you run as fast as you can and give you the confidence to run as fast as you can. And I say it comes down to personal choice. But yeah, there's so many shoes out there. I mean, you've got the Meta Racer, which is my 10K shoe. I've got the half marathon shoe, which is the Speed. I've got my marathon shoe, which is the Alpha Fly. 5K shoe, which is the Vaporfly. You know, there's so many A race shoes out there from like Brooks. You know, you've got the Hyperion Elite 2, and you've got the Adidas shoes, the Adidas shoes. There's so many amazing racing shoes out there. But yeah, that's the only things I would say on the racing shoes. It really comes down to personal preference, I would say, more than any of the other shoes that I spoke about today. Right, I think we're done. I think that's it. I think I've covered everything else. Probably not. Let me know in the comments, have I missed anything out? I hope today, in this video, and the reason I want to do this video is to try and maybe help you choose your next pair of shoes, to sort of maybe point you into some of the directions to go, because it can be really confusing. There's so many amazing shoes out there. There's so many different ways you can go and like that, all that sort of stuff. But like I said a minute ago, you know, at the end of the day, you can get one pair of shoes and you can go out the door and run in them, right? And that's the amazing thing about running, is that you don't need to be spending £250 on a shoe. You can spend, you know, 30, 40 pounds on a shoe, and it's going to do a great job. It's going to get you out the door. It's going to get you fit. It's going to get you healthy. It's going to get this working as well. And that's the most important thing about running, is to get you fit, healthy. And it doesn't matter what shoe you're in ultimately, right? It's all about getting out the door, lacing up, and doing something awesome.